I remember the exact feeling of walking into the cold, unfamiliar corridors of my new school in Kasargod. The academic year had already started without me. I was exactly 3 months late in joining the classes. For a student, missing the first 3 months is like walking into a movie theater halfway through a complex thriller. Nothing makes sense, and everybody else seems to understand the plot perfectly. I nervously found my desk, pulled out my chair, and sat down. The classroom was completely silent as the teacher began to speak. He was teaching social studies. However, there was a massive, terrifying problem. He was delivering the entire lecture in English. My heart immediately started to race. My palms grew sweaty. From my very first day of my school in the first standard all the way up until the ninth standard, I had always studied social studies in Hindi. Hindi was my comfort zone. It was the language in which I understood history, geography, and civic duties. Now, listening to this teacher entirely sounded foreign. Yeah. Slowly, with a trembling hand, I looked down at my textbook. It was incredibly thick. It felt as heavy as a brick. And to me, coping with this elephantine syllabus in an entirely new language with a 3 month backlog felt like standing at the bottom of Mount Everest without any climbing gear. It felt like an impossible mountain to climb. A few weeks passed. I tried to read the words, but they were just black ink and white paper. I took my first unit test. A few days later, the results were announced in front of the entire classroom. I had failed. My social studies teacher stood at the front of the class. The room felt dead silent. He looked directly at me, right there, in front of all my new classmates. He gave me a stern, sharp reprimand for my failure. I could not feel the eyes of 40 students burning into the back of my head. I felt the hot sting of embarrassment flush my cheeks. I felt completely crushed, demoralized, and utterly helpless. I was drowning in a massive ocean of information, and I did not know how to swim. Friends, have you ever experienced that exact feeling? Have you ever looked at a towering stack of textbooks on your desk or a massive PDF file on your laptop and felt completely paralyzed before you even read the very first page? Well, think about it. Hey there, Raghu here, your certified memory coach on wheels. Welcome to my podcast. The topic of today's episode is Taming the Elephant, Conquering Information Overload. Friends, having survived a severe spinal cord injury that left me paralyzed below my shoulders, I learned a profound and undeniable truth about human existence. Our true power is not located in our physical muscles, but within the boundless architecture of our mind. Now I am on a lifelong mission to help students and competitive exam aspirants stop struggling with the soul crushing methods of rote learning. I am here to help you tap into the infinite potential of your brain using proven scientific memory techniques. That dark day in my 10th standard, I was the ultimate victim of massive information overload. The sheer physical size of the syllabus, combined with the extreme cognitive strain of a new language, completely shut down my brain's executive functioning. Students step into my coaching boot camps with that exact same panic in their eyes. They pull up their syllabus on their screens. They say, "Sir, look at this. There are 50 chapters in physics alone. There are thousands of pages of Indian polity. Yeah, I have only 3 months left until the exam, sir." Every time I open the book, my heart races, my throat gets tight, and my brain just completely freezes. Sir, what do I do? Well, my friend, you are suffering from information overload. You need to understand that this is not a sign of weakness, it is a biological response. When your brain perceives a threat that is simply too large to handle, like an elephantine syllabus that threatens your future career, it triggers a primal avoidance response in your amygdala. Yeah, and you freeze. Because you are frozen, you procrastinate. You do not procrastinate because you are lazy. You procrastinate because your brain is terrified of the sheer volume of the data. So, you suddenly feel the urge to scroll through your phone. Yeah, you suddenly decide that your study room needs a deep cleaning. Yeah, all of a sudden you get that thought. You do absolutely everything except study. You cannot memorize an ocean by trying to open your mouth and swallow it all at once. You will drown. You must filter it, chunk it, and strategically conquer it. Today we are going completely tactical, yeah? I am going to hand you my ultimate battle-tested 6-step protocol to destroy information overload and systematically master any vast syllabus, whether it is UPSC, NEET, or the CA final exams. So, my dear friends, grab your notebooks and let us begin. So, there are 6 steps. Let us start one by one. Step 1, Syllabus X-ray, clarity before effort. The absolute biggest mistake students make, a mistake that guarantees failure, is opening a textbook to chapter 1 on day 1 and just starting to read blindly. See, you are essentially walking into a dense, dangerous jungle without a map, a compass, or a plan. What will happen? You will inevitably get lost in the details. So before you study a single page, before you highlight a single sentence, you must perform what I call a syllabus X-ray. And what is that? Imagine you are trying to build a massive skyscraper. You do not just show up on an empty lot with a pile of bricks and start taking them randomly, do you? Instead, you bring an architect, you draw a precise blueprint, you lay the foundation, you build the real steel framework. Yeah, only after the framework is perfect do you start adding the walls, the windows, and the paint, right? Similarly, your syllabus requires the exact same approach. Spread the entire syllabus out in front of you. What are the main units? How are these units logically connected to one another? What is the overarching story, yeah, or flow of the information? Let us look at a standard example from the UPSC Civil Services examination. The syllabus for general studies is notoriously vast, right? If you just pick up a book on Indian geography and start reading about soil topics, soil types, you will forget it tomorrow. Instead, perform an X-ray. Realize that geography is divided into physical geography and human geography. Physical geography dictates the climate dictates the soil dictates the agriculture, and agriculture dictates human settlement and the economy. When you map out the skeleton of the subject first, you give your brain a mental filing cabinet. Yeah, you understand the grand logic. When you finally zoom in and start reading the specific details about black soil in the Deccan Plateau, your brain knows exactly which folder to place that information into. This completely prevents mental clutter and makes a recall effortless. So clarity must always precede effort. Step 2. Well, I have told a lot about this earlier in my earlier episodes also. Step 2 is chunking. Yeah. Eat the elephant bite-sized, not full. There is a famous, slightly humorous question in productivity circles. How do you eat an elephant? The answer is simple. One bite at a time. Yeah. When I looked at that massive social studies syllabus in Kasargod, it was terrifying because I viewed it as one single immovable object. But when you break a massive object down into smallest component parts, it completely loses its power to intimidate you. Yeah. Do not ever put a vague task like study modern history or revise biology on your daily schedule. That task is too big, too vague, and too heavy. Your brain will look at the task and immediately reject it, pushing you toward your smartphone. Yeah. You must master the art of chunky. I mean, chunking. Break your massive syllabus down into micro tasks. Now, consider a CA final student facing the daunting volume of the direct tax laws. Looking at the entire income tax act is enough to induce a panic attack. But you do not study the act, you chunk it. You take the vast syllabus and divide it into monthly macro goals. Then you divide the monthly goals into weekly targets. And finally, you divide the weekly targets into daily micro chunks. Your daily schedule should say, like, study direct tax. It should say 9 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. Master the 5 specific exemptions under capital gains. It should be that precise. Look at how small and manageable that is. Yeah. Your brain does not fear learning 5 exemptions. It feels achievable. You sit down, you conquer that small chunk, and you get a hit of dopamine, the accomplishment chemical. That dopamine fuels you to tackle the next chunk. And suddenly, the impossible mountain becomes nothing more than a simple, continuous series of very small, very manageable steps. Now let's come to step 3, the 80-20 weapon. Become a sniper. This step separates the amateurs from the absolute toppers. Not all pages in your thick textbook are created equal. Yeah, you must understand and apply the Pareto principle, commonly known as the 80-20 rule. In the context of competitive exams, it dictates that roughly 80% of your exam results will come from mastering just 20% of the core syllabus. Yeah, you heard it right. Information overload occurs when you treat every single paragraph, every single footnote, and every single historical date as if it is going to be a guaranteed 10-mark question. You spread your energy so thin that you master nothing. You must stop acting like a panicked soldier firing a machine gun blindly into the dark, hoping to hit a target. My friend, you must become a highly trained sniper. Now, how do you find this magical 20%? You must ruthlessly analyze the past 10 years of question papers. Yes, you heard it right. Past 10 years of question papers you must analyze. The past years are the DNA of the examiner's mind. Yes, DNA of the examiner's mind. When you analyze them, a clear pattern will emerge. You will identify the core 20%, the high yield topics, the recurring themes, and the foundational formulas that are tested year after year. Let us look at a neat aspirant. Yeah, the biology NCERT textbook is their Bible. A panicked student tries to memorize every single complex scientific name and obscure fact of the first read on the first read. An 80-20 student knows that human physiology and genetics carry a disproportionately massive weightage in the exam compared to the other minor chapters. So, you must master that high yield 20% core with absolute ruthless perfection first. Build a fortress of knowledge around those topics. Ensure you will not lose a single mark there. Only after that core is completely locked in and secured, you shall step back and quickly scan the remaining 80% of the syllabus for extra marginal marks. Are you getting it? So protect your energy and hunt the high yield topics. So that completes us step 3. Now let's go to step 4. Step 4, output based studying. Stop the input addiction. Why do we feel overloaded? Because modern students are severely addicted to input. Think about your own study routine. You read a chapter in a book, then you watch a highly edited 3-hour YouTube marathon lecture on the same chapter. Then maybe you download someone else's beautifully highlighted PDF notes. So you keep pushing information in. You're passively consuming data, completely tricking your brain into feeling productive. Yeah. See, this creates the illusion of competence. Because the lecturer on YouTube explained it so well, you feel like you understand it. But reading and watching are passive activities. They do not build neural pathways. Exams do not test how much input you can tolerate. An exam hall does not care how many videos you watched. Exams strictly test only one thing: how much accurate output you can generate under pressure. If you want to conquer information overload, you must shift your input to output ratio immediately. You must embrace active recall. Now, what is this active recall? Well, I have explained it so many times in many of my episodes earlier. Yeah, let me briefly explain it. For every 30 minutes you spend reading a textbook or watching a lecture video from YouTube, you must close the book, turn off the screen, and spend at least 10 minutes generating the output, recalling it actively. Take a blank sheet of paper and write down everything you remember from your memory. Better yet, stand up and teach the concept out loud to an empty room using your own words. So that is active recall. Like, think of going to a gym, yeah? Watching a professional bodybuilder lift heavy weights on Instagram, that will not build your muscles, no matter how many hours you watch, right? You have to physically pick up the iron, the dumbbell, and struggle under the weight. Output based studying is mental weightlifting. It is difficult, obviously. It exposes what you do not know, but it is the only guaranteed way to prove to yourself that you have actually digested and owned the information. Now let's come to step 5, smart revision system, defeating the forgetting curve. When you are dealing with a massive syllabus, a very specific type of psychological terror sets in. It is the fear that by the time you reach chapter 50, you will have completely forgotten chapter 1. This fear causes students to constantly loop back, rereading old chapters out of panic, and therefore never finishing the syllabus on time. See, the human brain is designed to forget. Yeah, it is a survival mechanism to clear out unnecessary data. So forgetting is natural. To combat this, to fight this, you must build a smart revision system. The fatal flaw in believing that revision means rereading the entire textbook, that is wrong. It is the fatal flaw. If you reread the textbook, you will be buried in information overload all over again and again information overload. Instead, you must use the keyword comprehension. Keyword compression technique. As you study a massive 30-page chapter for the very first time, your goal is compression. You must condense those 30 pages into a single, highly visual, one-page mind map or a practice list of 20 powerful trigger words. We also call it keywords. So you should select keywords from that massive chapter. Let us take a UPSC aspirant studying the Indian Constitution. A chapter on fundamental rights is dense with legal jargon and Supreme Court judgments. So do not try to memorize paragraphs. Compress it. The trigger word, Article 21, should instantly unfold into protection of life and personal liberty, something like that, followed by the specific mental images of the cases associated with it. Yeah, that's how you compress. When it is time to revise, you do not open the heavy textbook. You only look at your single page of trigger words, the keywords. You look at the word and you actually try to unpack the entire concept in your mind. If the keyword successfully unlocks the memory, you move on instantly. Yeah, and it will happen. If you draw a blank, if you draw a blank, only then you open the textbook to quickly refer that specific point. Are you getting it? I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. See, this compression allows you to revise a mountain of information in a fraction of the time. It turns an elephantine syllabus into a lightweight, easily accessible mental filing cabinet, something like that. Yeah. Now let's come to step 6. Limit the sources. One sword, not 10. This final step is the ultimate, non negotiable cure for syllabus anxiety. We live in the digital age. Information is no longer scarce, it is overwhelming. Every single day, competitive exam aspirants fall into the shiny object syndrome. You buy the standard textbook, but then a friend tells you about a new author, so you buy that book too. Then you join five different Telegram groups, downloading 50 different top secret revision PDFs, something like that from various coaching institutes, and you end up with a desk piled high with 10 different reference materials for a single subject. Well. Having too many sources creates a massive, crushing psychological burden. Every time you look at that pile, you feel a deep sense of guilt for not reading all of them. You start jumping from one book to another, reading the first chapter of 5 different books, but never finishing any of them. You dig 10 shallow wells, but you never strike water, my friend. So, you must stop this madness immediately. Yeah? Pick one master textbook. Pick one set of high quality trusted notes. Make that single source your absolute, unquestionable Bible or Quran or Bhagavad Gita, whatever you call. Yeah? Have the courage to ignore everything else. If you are studying for the UPSC and the consensus is to read Lakshmikant for Indian polity, then you read Lakshmikant only. You do not read 3 other political science textbooks to supplement it. See, it is infinitely better, both neurologically and strategically, to read one single book 5 times than to read 5 different books one time. Wow, are you getting it? It is infinitely better, both neurologically and strategically, to read one single book 5 times than to read 5 different books one time. See, when you read one book multiple times, you master its structure. You remember exactly where a specific fact is located on the page. The knowledge becomes deeply embedded in your subconscious. So do not try to carry an armory of average weapons, yeah? Wield on one single sword and spend all your time making it dangerous, flawlessly sharp. Are you getting it? See, when I reflect on my life, that stern reprimand from my social studies teacher in Kasargod did not break me, okay? It served me as the ultimate wake-up call. It emboldened me, yeah? It forced me to stop feeling like a helpless victim of my circumstances and start acting like a strategic student. I stopped looking at the terrifying size of the book. I dug deep into my textbooks without wasting precious moments worrying about my 3 month backlog. I focused purely on the immediate step in front of me. Yeah. I aggressively chunked the syllabus. I broke it down. I built my mental maps, mental summary charts. So months later, the secondary board examination results came out. I stood there looking at my mark sheet. The joy of gaining an overall 81 percentage was immense, my friend. Yeah. But the true victory, the moment that proved the power of human mind, was looking at the social studies column. I had scored 83% in the exact subject that had humiliated me. I had tamed the elephant. True education is not about cramming. It is not about rote learning. It is not about drowning in textbooks. True education is about learning how to manage your mind, how to organize chaos, and how to strategically conquer any challenge that is placed in front of you. If you can take the lessons of your mentors and carry them forward by mastering your own potential, that is the greatest gift you can give back to them. So do not let the sheer size of the syllabus defeat you before you even begin. You are not a victim of your exams, my friend. You are the architect of your success. Take absolute control today. X-ray your syllabus and find the blueprint. Eat the elephant one small bite at a time through chunking. Wield your 80-20 sniper weapon. Stop the endless input addiction, and start generating output. Output is what's important. Build a smart revision system to defeat forgetting and throw away the excess materials to sharpen your single sword. Were you able to connect with me with this lesson, my friend? Have you been drowning yourself in too many Telegram PDFs and paralyzing your own progress? Yeah, I want you to make a commitment right now. Tell me in the comments below which specific subject in your current exam preparation is your personal elephant, and exactly how are you going to chunk it down today? How are you going to eat it in small sizes? Was this What is the one source you are going to commit today? Tell me. Please share your comments below. I read every single one of them, and I want to see you take accountability, my friend. All right, keep taming your elephants. I am Raghurama Bhatt, your memory coach on wheels. Hit that subscribe button, follow me, join my community, take control of your syllabus, and I'll catch you up in the next episode. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day.